Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 50. This podcast is about anything and everything related to Destiny the game. If you love playing Destiny as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we farm for the Grasp, catch some details from Bungie at E3, and talk Hunter Life post 2.3.0. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. This is Arrow Knight, and here with me, of course, is Cyborg Sasquatch and Them's Tattoos. What's up, guys?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Hello. Hey.
How y'all doing?
I'm great.
Doing pretty great.
Wonderful.
Everybody's great.
It's a great day. It's a great day in Destiny.
Except for all these events that are getting canceled, but that's okay. We'll get into that.
We'll live. It was a terrible weekend.
A lot of farming this weekend.
Yeah.
But again, we'll get into that.
No doubt.
So, real quick, sirs, before we get into the old geography lesson, how about a little shout out to all the Derp Fam dads?
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day,
Happy
guys.
Father's Day.
Yep.
I got to give a shout out to Maddie Misfit because he asked if being a cat dad counted, and I said, of course it does.
A cat dad.
Happy Father's Day.
That
So,
totally counts because cats are evil demons.
Whoa.
And if you're the father of a cat, then I'm so sorry.
I am an animal lover, man, so I do not agree.
I like cats. I didn't say I didn't like evil demon cats.
That's just an interesting way to put something you like.
I'm a
Great
special
stuff.
guy. All right. Well, now that all the fathers have been Father's Day'd, let's get into the geography lesson of the week. How about it?
Let's do it. I like this one. I like them all, but this one's pretty cool, man.
You Missouri guys. All right, guys. Geography lesson is the time of the show when I get to feature a derp listener from around the world. If you want to be featured here, send us an email or a tweet with your name, where you're from, what's so special about that place, and your favorite class in Destiny. So this week we have Taylor from St. Louis, Missouri. And he writes,
Missouri?
is that how you guys say it? Missouri? Or is that
Not
just
Missouri.
the rednecks there?
Not Missouri, just like it's not Illinois.
Okay. Missouri.
Good.
Missouri.
Missouri.
He writes, hello and salutations from the Midwest, guys. I've just started listening to your podcast for about a month now and decided to rep my hometown. I'm writing to you from St. Louis, Missouri. The gateway to the West, Baseball City, USA. St. Louis is home to many wonderful things. Anheuser-Busch is original brewery, toasted ravioli, which is deep-fried ravioli dipped in a marinara. The Budweiser Clydesdales that you see every Super Bowl season. This country's greatest baseball team, quite a claim there, the St.
Yes.
Louis Cardinals. A wonderful zoo that is free to enter. One of the country's greatest botanical gardens. And lastly, we are the creators of the king of beers, Budweiser. We're not limited to beer and baseball. My city has a multitude of parks in every county. Whether you want to catch a show at the Muni? Okay. Push your body to its limits or just hang out with our family. Our parks can fill your needs. We have a saying in St. Louis about our weather here. If it's not the heat that'll get you, it's the humidity. Because of the odd geographical location, we are sandwiched into 3 rivers bordering our city. The Missouri River, the Merrimack River, and the mighty Mississippi. The humidity here is no joke. To wrap this up, the giant Silver Arch is my city's great landmark that really makes it stand out. It stands over 600 feet tall with a little elevator that'll take you all the way up to the top. It was constructed as a recognition of a gateway to the West when St. Louis was our nation's capital. Anyways, thanks for hearing me out, guys. Can't wait to play with the Derp Fam soon. Come to St. Louis sometime to catch a ball game and drink some ice cold frosty ones. Autumn Chinook on PSN. That's Autumn_Chinook. And he says to finish off, Night Stalker Master Class, our arrows will guide the way.
Very nice.
So you were just out in St. Louis, right?
Yep, just this past weekend, man. Actually,
Some
I love
Cardinals?
this. I love this geography lesson. No Cardinals this weekend,
Okay.
but plenty. I've had plenty of toasted ravioli, and of course the Cardinals. I've talked about that, but Game 7 of the World Series, a
Yes.
few years back. So
I think we've had this city and many other Missouri cities as geography lessons.
what is going on with the Guardians in Missouri?
There's a lot of Missouri Guardians. I think y'all might have to have just a Missouri meetup.
I'm telling you. Well, even Scorio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He's just west. So
Well, thank you, Taylor, for sending that along. Very nice of you.
very cool. So some more exciting stuff, man. T-shirts.
Yes.
If you're listening and you're hearing us talk about the Dirt Fam T-shirts, unfortunately, that ended last night. When you're hearing this,
Indeed.
you can't order one.
We sold many a T-shirt, and
Yes.
we just want to thank everyone
Man.
for their support.
Way more than we thought we would, dude.
Absolutely. And thankfully, the fundage from these T-shirts will go to much needed things like hosting and the back end of the podcast and
some
some
point,
other things that we
the
need to do. So
Podcast hosting, and you know the timing's great because it has almost been a year. This is episode 50.
Yeah.
We'll acknowledge it. Episode 51, we've got some fun stuff. And with it being pretty much a year, some things are coming due, and we do need to renew a few things.
Yep. So
we
guys, thanks
appreciate
for the
it so much.
support. And we're also going to be able to do some really fun things for the Derp fam.
Giveaways.
Yeah, in turn for your support. So we appreciate it. But just want to let everybody know when we have a Teespring campaign, there is a feature there. If enough people in the future want to reorder that shirt, I think you can place a pre-order. And when enough people do that, it'll open it back up again. So
Yes.
if you missed it, you didn't have funds or you forgot about it, you can always go in and do a pre-order. You know, when enough people do that, it'll open up another run of the shirts.
Yes, and we plan on doing something more like this down the road too.
Oh, yeah,
right,
for
Cyborg?
sure.
Yeah, and we wanted to give a shout out to Nerdy Dolphins too, man. We got your email. It is all good that you couldn't order one. Totally understand, and we, like we said, we'll definitely have something.
There
down
will
the
be
road,
more
so
opportunities.
No
No worries, fellas.
Yes.
Well, we've
What else
got
we got, man?
we got something cool coming up. As you mentioned, this is episode 50. You know, we should have a lot of fanfare and kazoos and confetti going right now. But we're doing the big bang, the big party. Next episode 51, is our 1 year anniversary of Destiny Reset podcast.
1 year, man.
And we've teamed up with some of the Derp fam for a little fun tournament that'll be
Yes.
starting out. So our friends Holden Court, Des Raven, Unique, and then one of our community administrators, Joe Meaden, have teamed up to put together the first annual Derp Masterclass Cup. All you warlocks, titans, and hunters that believe you're the best class, you're going to have an opportunity to put up or shut up.
I really love this idea too. They sent us a whole page
Yeah.
of how they wanted to do this all detailed, and the fact that it's the master class tournament is just gonna hype
Stakes
it
are
up
high, man.
that much more
Whoever wins, they're going to let everybody hear it for the rest of the year.
for the rest of the year. Yep.
So there's going to be more details to come, hopefully this week. Keep your eyes peeled on the Bungie.net group and Discord, where we will have a place for you to sign up, post tournament rules and how it will work. But I believe we're aiming for it to begin after the reset of our 51st episode.
51st.
Celebrate.
Yep, man, and that 51st episode, however the leap year works, is actually 1 year to the day that
Wow.
we released episode 1, man.
That's kind of crazy.
It's insane.
Man.
It's really cool. So what better way to do it than to decide what the master class is, right?
Jordan, are you going to be repping in the Masterclass Cup, my friend?
I'll be there repping Hunters.
That's what I thought.
Hunters. Very nice.
We got one of each
Well,
on this show, guys.
We do. Good stuff.
It's going to be fun. So, all you Warlocks, y'all better show up. So we got to fight.
I know the Titans will be there.
Yeah, I know they will. You can count on that. All right, guys. Well, how was your reset?
Guess first.
It was great, man. I did the Nightfall this week for the first time,
I bet you did.
for the first time in probably 8 or 10 weeks, and I did it.
So after the patch, the Nightfall reset for all you listeners to Omnigul, first time in a long, long time, with a modifier specialist and solar burn.
Yes,
So
sir.
what did you do in that Nightfall, Jordan?
Well, this was actually the first time that this strike has been the Nightfall since the reworking of the strikes and the addition of strike-specific loot. Specifically, the Grasp of Malak. And as we know now from our hundreds of Nightfalls that the Dirt Fam has done this week, the drop rates are increased for strike-specific loot whenever that strike is the Nightfall.
Yeah.
So, in addition to that, with it being solar burn, and there already being several strategies for downing Omnigul early and getting that loot without having to redo the entire strike, there was a lot of farming going on this week.
I think it was like 3, 4, 5 an hour at least.
Yeah.
It was probably more than that once you got it down with your team. Tell them real quick, Tattoo, like what the quickest strat was. I know a lot of people were still using 3 Hunters. We were goofing around with a Striker Titan as well.
Right.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna be a PvE noob for a little bit. I hopped on YouTube and was like, I need this gun for the Crucibles, but it's a strike. So there were 2 main strategies for it. Basically, you wanted to down her the first time you see Omnigul on the strike. So when you're coming into her sort of lair, the area that's blocked off when you're just on patrol, she spawns in the corner as she has 2 wizards behind her, and she spawns some thrall and some trash mobs. So the first strategy was you would run a Night Stalker. The Night Stalker would shoot the tether at her feet, tethering her and all the trash mobs that she spawns. And then the other 2 were Gunslinger Hunters with the Celestial Nighthawk and the perk Deadeye. So with the rebalancing of Gunslinger and 2.3, Deadeye gained an additional 30% damage. On top of the 6 times damage that Celestial Nighthawk does, you could 2-shot Omnigul with 2 golden guns.
Nice.
Crazy.
So you would tether and then pop 2 golden guns, down her, collect your grasps, and then the gunslingers would pick up the orbs from the tether, and the Night Stalker would pick up the couple of orbs from the second gunslinger and then try and use like Bad Juju or some other super boosting perks to get their super back real quick. The other one was a Night Stalker and a Gunslinger with the same setup, and then a Striker Titan as the third character. And the Striker would basically just run up to Omnigul once the tether hit and smash all of the thralls and be an orb generation. And
Nice.
I preferred that one because it actually helped keep the hunters, the 2 hunters that were doing the DPS, or the 2 characters that were doing the
Momentum.
DPS. It gives you momentum, and it also we ran into an issue of the person that was running in first would end up getting in the smoke
Killed.
of the wizards and die. Yeah. So the Striker Titan helped out a lot with clearing all of the mobs and making sure that the first person in the fray was going to survive. So
yeah,
it's hilarious that I realized when we were farming it, about 2 or 3 hours. Tattoo, it was me, you, and Terry. I farmed that long, and then remember I backed out. We took a little break, but we didn't log out, but I had to log off. I didn't even finish the Nightfall, so I still have not done a Nightfall.
Still
my
haven't
gosh.
even counted for that, huh?
Good grief. Plenty of
You're
plenty,
ridiculous,
plenty of
bro.
grasps, though. Yeah, plenty of grasps.
Yeah,
I got
so,
like 10 to 12.
You know, I was looking in Discord. It had to be like Wednesday or something, and I mean, there were guys farming for just hours and hours with like dozens of grasps, and I couldn't believe how long they were doing this. But I think we did it for, you know, maybe like an hour or two, and got a few each. But we didn't have as good of a setup. It was, you know, 1 Night Stalker and 2 Warlocks. But we still got it done. We could use, you know, some burn perks with the Sun Singers to help bring her down, but it was not nearly as fast as those golden guns probably were with the
Man, it was
Celestial.
so crazy. When we got in a groove, we would just run around the corner. I would go ahead and jump up, watch you pop your golden gun tattoo, and then I would, right after you shot her, I would go ahead, or during, and shoot the tether just to the lower left up against that rock. And then, I mean, she was toast in seconds. It was unbelievable.
Nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Businessman posted up on Discord. They actually got 7 seconds, 5 seconds or 7 seconds was the best time that they could get, and I think they were running a similar setup. So yeah, it was definitely.
Well, if it wasn't
efficient.
for the thrall messing with your sights
Yeah.
to snipe and get the precision shot, otherwise it would have definitely been easier to do it quicker. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, but for everybody who's listening, if you were living under a rock this week, Grasp of Malak or Malak, potato, is a great pulse rifle for PvP. It's high rate of fire, and you're looking for perks that are going to give you, you know, more stability, like counterbalance or perfect balance. Some other good ones I think that were brought up would be like Third Eye, Head Seeker probably isn't bad. I got my best roll that I got. I think I got Perfect Balance, Life Support, and Third Eye was the one I ended up rolling with as the main that I kept. Which I'm going to try to get some more tonight, but I leveled it up, and man, Life Support on a good primary is awesome when you're like running like multiple 1-to-1 you know, firefights. You know, take one guy on, and when you get that life support to proc and you got to take on the next, it's so great.
Yeah, it's really good for
it's an
Rumble for
underrated
sure.
perk. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one with braced frame, and then I got another with counterbalance. So they're both pretty decent, but not the most amazing rolls. I know Tattoo, you were going for that was it counterbalance and braced frame?
Yeah, so
that would be the one right there.
I'll try and not go on a tangent, but Scumbag Brian reached out to me today on Discord and was asking about rolls. So if you guys are listening to this week and you've just kept all of your grasps and you're sort of looking at, and he did, it was so crazy. He was like, I held on to like 20 of these. I want you to look at them and tell me which ones I should keep and which ones I should infuse. So if you still have them and you're, you know, trying to decide which perks to go for, you want the ORS or the OES site. They're the two better ones. I was basically dismantling anything that did not have counterbalance on it.
Which is pretty picky, right? Because
So
Yeah, because
that
I
one
was
wasn't
using it
dropping a
without
lot.
counterbalance. You know, I had perfect balance.
Yeah.
And it felt good. Still felt good.
Right. And it does. I was looking for counterbalance, braced frame, and then the third perk is sort of player preference. There are a lot of good ones. There's Third Eye, Glass Half Full. Feeding Frenzy was the one that I wanted, but I got Glass Half Full on my counterbalance braced frame one. So yeah, if you have your list, put the ones with counterbalance up at the top, and then, you know, check your middle tier perk, and then from there you can just sort of tailor that last perk to your playstyle. I like Third Eye as well, so there's a lot of good options.
Yep. Third Eye's great on a primary. Well,
yeah, you basically got max stability with that roll, right? counterbalance and brace.
Yeah, it's
Almost.
very,
Yeah.
very
Freaking
near.
laser, huh?
It's
Yeah,
it's so
I gotta
good.
say, we can obviously move on. We've talked about this a lot, but I gotta say, I have 2 or 3 that I've been testing out. I really enjoy it, but man, I don't know. I think I don't know if it's. I mean, everyone's saying that Hawksaw and PDX, the amazing rolls on those that we've seen, still may be possibly or is a better gun, but you know, it all comes down to personal preference. I'm gonna mess around with it a little bit more. I try to make myself play at least a handful of games. You know, it's so hard not to make a judgment in that very first game you jump in.
I do think it's going to come down to personal preference, but I think that those particular guns are going to be highly competitive with one another, and the perk rolls that you get on your preferred grasp is going to reflect on how you're going to handle those 1v1s if you're fighting somebody with those particular pulses. But
Definitely.
I mean, I think that I think we're going to see a lot of grasps from here on out.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
already
anybody
seeing
who
them.
didn't go and get one this week. Put it that way. You know.
I am already seeing a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, real quick, I gotta fit this in. I have been rank 4 on my gunsmith this entire time. I finally decided I want the first curse, correct?
Yeah.
So I am like a millimeter away from hitting 5 until this next reset, and the only thing I have to level myself up is the 10 kills in the Crucible with the service rocket launcher. So
man.
it may be next reset before I hit
Well,
5.
yeah, tomorrow.
Yes,
man,
but you.
I'm trying to remember the order of that quest.
I know.
because
I
there's,
went
like,
and YouTubed it.
if you could get it done like tonight.
I know
because
because it I have to wait twice.
Yeah,
right,
you
at
do,
least.
and
Yeah.
it's going to be a while.
Well,
Yeah,
be a
you're
while.
not gonna. This is.
you'll still have a chance to. Well, will you still have a chance to do it tomorrow? Do the weapons reset on Arms Day, or do they reset on reset? I don't remember. I think that
I can't remember either.
Um,
It may be. It may be Wednesday
I think that no.
no.
You know what? I think they do reset.
when we get packages.
Yeah.
Which is Wednesday. Yeah.
But I just
So that's
can't
okay.
remember
Yeah, you
how
still
the
got
waiting
tomorrow, then.
period works. Is it between arms days? It is between arms
It's between
days.
Arms Days, yeah.
Yeah, so you
Well,
can
that
get it
works.
done tomorrow. Okay.
I've got 2 kills, so I
But
need
you're
to
going to
get
have to
more.
do the imprecation, like whatever
Yes.
part it is,
Pretty
tomorrow
quick.
too.
Yeah.
Well, the other funny part to this story is that I just got my Fabian strategy.
Oh, man.
I haven't had it this whole time.
That's like
man.
saying I just got a bag of poop.
Yeah, you're not
I
missing
know,
out.
right? I know, but it's so funny because I was sitting there looking through my quest, and I'm like, "How can I get gunsmith rank? Come on, please, like let me hit." And I'm like a millimeter away, even after that quest. And then I get my Fabian strategy, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I never got this gun. I never finished that quest
Man,
line."
not to go on a tangent real quick, but something people have been mentioning a lot lately that I really wish that we would see in whatever next update is the ability to rebuy those class-specific legendaries from the gunsmith.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you can do that with all the swords and any other like particular weapons. I think mostly just the swords, but if you say, for instance, accidentally dismantled your steel piercer, you can't get it back.
oh
Yep.
that's true.
So I would like to see that because I just, as many others do, I live in fear of accidentally dismantling my Susanoo or something.
I go a lot crazy. I also like have hit that point between content where I'm now thinking about collecting things to do. For example, getting the first curse finally, and so you've hit the slight, content drought-ish area. But it's still fun. That's what you do, right? When you don't have fresh
No,
new
what you
content,
do
start-
is go play all the PvE content that you haven't even touched, Air Knight.
Oh right. I've
gonna
at
start yelling
least
at
done
you.
most of it once or twice.
It's not
So
enough.
it's not like I haven't done it at all.
Whatever.
I may step back into Volta Glass before I go do
Yeah.
the current raid.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tattoo. Go ahead.
I was to say, speaking of content running out, the farming for Omnigul and getting 30-some Warlock bonds or Omnigul bonds put all 3 of my characters up to 335 this week. So
Oh, nice.
we're all capped out
Very
on
nice.
PlayStation.
Yeah, those bonds were a great source to level up a lot of class items.
They dropped with high stat rolls too. I noticed. Almost,
They did,
Almost
yeah,
all
there's
of mine were green.
There's some tier 12 drops that I got for bonds. It's pretty nice. Yep.
So Trials was disabled.
Can't talk about Trials this week.
We can. I didn't fit in any cards, but before it was disabled, you did Tattoo, but without getting into the main topic stuff about your hunter, did you guys enjoy running that one card?
Yeah, it was good. I think, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it, but the bugs and stuff that the reasons that they disabled it, we didn't really experience any of that. We went 8-1. We lost our Mercy at 4 and then lost the 8th game. Blind Watch played more or less the same that it played last time it was up. It's very imbalanced with the spawns. It's, it's hope you get alpha spawn, and if you don't, sorry for your bad luck. Like, it's just an uphill battle. I'm not a fan of that map. But it played pretty much like it did last time. The same sort of routes, same sort of lanes. It was a little bit nicer with the balance. It felt a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but it just felt more balanced. But yeah.
I was excited to play something a little bit different because we've only seen that once or twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Blind Watch. Yeah. But I didn't get to jump in, so that's okay.
I ended up playing some elimination, and I jumped in with Darth Digits. Okay. First of all, Friday night after they disabled Trials, all the tryhards were playing skirmish and elimination. I think I won like 2 games. Okay.
Yeah.
It was so freaking sweaty. Everything was close. But we played some really tough teams. But the funniest thing happened. We go into elimination. We play this team. I think we might have won that one. And then we stayed in matchmaking, and it put us in Burning Shrine. And we spawn in, and I look at the roster, and it put me and Darth against the one guy that we were teamed up with last game. So it was 2v1 with no other opponents. So we were like, oh, this is weird. So we kind of like run around, and we're like, oh, I wonder if he's going to be like cool. Like, maybe we can play around a little bit, whatever. And me and Darth are like dancing and trying to see what he does. And then all of a sudden, like a lightning grenade like whizzes by my head, and we're like, oh no, he's not playing nice. Okay. So, we go around and we kill him, and then it goes to the next round, and it changes the teams again. So this time it's that guy and Darth versus me. So then I think I won that round, actually. Then the guy drops, and it puts me versus Darth. So I got to play this unique Crucible mode. It's called 1v1 elimination.
1v1 me, bro.
The stakes are really high, guys.
That's pretty funny.
So we played around with that, and it was actually really interesting and fun just having one person literally in a high stakes game per round, where, you make one mistake, you lose the round. Mm-hmm. And we kind of played each other until I lost because Darth told me, hey, come here for a minute, and fusion rifled me. So, but it was really fun, and it kind of gave me a taste for what custom matches could be like, truly, like beyond just the ability to do sweaties. But if we had the ability to go in and do goofy things like that, or even to be able to say, hey, 1v1 me, bro, and actually be able to do it.
It could happen.
It happened. And I was like, I posted on Twitter, I said, go home, Crucible, you're drunk. Because it was just doing crazy things that night. But it was fun, though. It was a fun bug that happened.
Yeah, I'm of course missing my Trials fix, but hopefully it'll be back by next week. Hopefully we get a hot fix pretty ASAP with some of these things.
Well,
but
speaking of bugs, I have to bring up, because I forgot that this was this week. Did either of you guys experience the invisible players glitch when the reset happened?
yes, I did. Yep.
I did not. I had a couple people in. I was playing with some Dirt fam that they saw invisible people, but I did not.
Yeah, so on reset, I had that issue, and I decided to go into the weekly mode, which was Inferno 6v6, and got to play another new Crucible mode, Ultimate Inferno 6v6, where everyone is invisible. And
That's rough.
it was really fun, to be honest with you. I almost wish I could do that more often, because
Custom games.
I
Guardians
got
are
to where
invisible.
I could figure out how to see people, because you really couldn't see them very well if you were looking directly at them. But if you had the reticle over them and you can get their tag to show up above their head and kind of get a spot on them, then it would be a little bit easier. But if somebody popped a roaming super, because you're roaming and they can't see you, especially since I was playing Stormcaller, I was getting a ridiculous amount of kills.
Mhm.
I went on several kill streaks, so I got 30 something kills in that one game. It was actually kind of fun.
The quick fix for that was to leave the clan and rejoin, but we soon found out that your issues could
Return.
come back.
Yeah.
So hopefully we got everybody lined out with all that. I think we're a bit back to normal now.
Yes,
as
they
far
had
as the
some crazy things
invisible
going on
Guardians.
with this patch.
Breaking all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think it needed a little extra QA, you know what I mean?
Well, speaking of that, we've got some news to talk about, don't we?
Let us get into news.
Some events
Yes.
not happening.
We'll get through this as quick as we can. So we already talked about 2.3.0 drop this week. There were some issues upon reset where players were invisible both in the tower and PvP. There were issues with players going into PvP and only being able to issue 1 HP damage. So on Wednesday, they made some changes their side to fix some of these issues. It seems that most of that has been cleared up, as far as we know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
As far as we know.
Yep. Let's talk about the
Except-
TWAB.
Yeah. Actually, too, because of those different issues, to jump to the next one real quick, Iron Banner is canceled because of that, right?
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah, they just tweeted
basically
that, I think,
reasoning of
today.
Trials.
They had announced Iron Banner was coming back this reset, but unfortunately, due to whatever issue is happening that causes players to be booted from matches, which I think happens during the match, is that right? Or is it during matchmaking?
I'm honestly not sure, because my initial thought was that it was because of the the damage problem and stuff, which they supposedly fixed. So yeah, it's all
there was some other issue
joining-
where people were getting booted from games during trials. So whatever it is that's causing that, they said, hey, we can't fix it this weekend. Trials will not return. And now they're saying, on top of that, Iron Banner is canceled.
Which it was just the last Iron Banner, right, that launched on a Wednesday?
Yes.
Yes.
But they're saying
I
it's
wonder if we'll
canceled
get it
this week.
week period.
So I don't even think it'll be this week.
Well,
at
let's
all.
hope we get Trials this next weekend. That'll be rough.
That would be rough.
2 weekends
with
in a
2
row
weeks
without
in a
it.
row without it.
Mhm.
Hopefully we get a fix this week.
Well, that's a whole portion of the TWAB for us this week.
Yeah, so
We were going to get the scout rifle and the machine gun.
Yep, not so much. So that was pretty much this week at Bungie, just talking about all those different things. So we don't even really have to go through all that.
Yeah, they did, which we have a couple cool little interviews, but they did sneak some stuff on us, which we'll cover. They dropped it at the very front of the this week at Bungie was the new Chroma colors.
Yeah, that dropped.
That was kind of random.
Yeah, that dropped with the patch. And we can.
Because we didn't. Did we know about the chroma colors last week? Because I don't feel like we talked about that.
I think they just put it into the patch notes.
Right.
So as soon as the patch dropped, we found out about it. That was a kind of a surprise. And I have to, they have some updated patch notes that I wanted to bring up. There is a feature that has been long requested. If you look in your activity director, if you go to a specific activity, maybe it's the Nightfall, maybe it's the tower, you'll see a little icon to the left of that looks like little people. If you hover over that, you can actually now see which specific players are in that activity. Thank God.
Very cool.
I've been asking for that forever.
Just the minor little things that make the world of difference.
It's great for stuff like, reset. You jump on, none of your buddies, that you normally play with are on. You go see, who's playing the Nightfall? Okay, these people are. Oh, they have a spot open for a third. Let me message them real quick. Can I jump in? Just makes it easier to link up with people and see what people are doing. So awesome feature. Also,
this one's cool.
Yeah, they updated some stuff for strikes. So heroic strikes now add a randomly selected group of 3 modifiers. 1 modifier will be applied from each of the following lists. Group 1, small arms, specialist, brawler, or catapult. Group 2, airborne, solar burn, arc burn, void burn. Group 3, juggler, fresh troops, ironclad, exposure, chaff, angry. Trickle will not be applied to heroic strikes.
People were thrilled about that.
This is great because we actually had brought this up before as something that we wanted to see with heroic strikes because they were just too boring and vanilla. So this is awesome. Like, this will actually make these kind of fun to go run.
Especially since Tattoo and I have a date tomorrow night to finish the PvE side of our exotic class item.
Oh, quest. Nice. Yeah.
That's right, man. Grinding out those 10 heroic strikes.
Let's just say when I finally hit 25 and got that quest, I knocked out the 2 Crucible portions really fast, but my PvE section of it is still 0% and 0 out of 10.
FYI, Nightfalls count, I think, for 3.
What? Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you
it's
for
either
that.
2 or 3. I'm pretty sure it's 3. Yeah.
Could have just hopped in at the end of somebody's farm session and be like, hey, let me get this Nightfall finished real quick.
Maybe we can do that after we record tonight. And then
it's not a bad idea, man,
because
10 heroic strikes is going to take you a little while.
Yeah.
You're probably talking about 2 hours.
What we're also going to do, I was lucky enough, Tattoo picked me to be his ultimate friend and gave me his refer a friend since he hopped over. Yeah, so that feels so special.
Y'all will get to do your friend dance.
Or do it.
Crazy
dance,
spin around thing. Good luck getting it synced up.
I still have to give a shout out to OV Gary on the Xbox side. Him and I still haven't made it to do the refer a friend. But man. One day, man. Yeah. One day.
So did you guys watch or listen to IGN's Fireteam chat this week?
I did. Yes.
They had an interview at E3 with Deej and producer at Bungie, Scott Taylor.
And Deej is quite the wordsmith, isn't he?
He is.
You just listen to him and you're like, he knows the next 30 words he's going to say. He knows
PR
the whole thing. He's not gonna accidentally say hardly anything.
I know. I admire him and I look at him like, you are good, man. You're really a hunter with Shade Step. I'm watching you.
Exactly. Pre-nerf.
Yeah. So we had some good little nuggets from their interview. They actually did manage to pull some cool details out of them. One was confirming on air, Moments of Triumphs are returning for year 2. They will be coming Bungie Day 7/7, and they will actually be, you'll be able to do it in game as opposed to just in the companion app this year.
That's awesome. So I love that.
I'm guessing maybe it'll be some kind of quest. I don't know. Some sort of in-game mechanic will be there.
Probably a quest, if I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody on, I think it was actually Twitter, managed to find some code related to this through Bungie's API this week, and had put up some stuff on Twitter with images he had grabbed. So he kind of got the scoop on that. And I don't know if it was before or after that interview, but either way, they confirmed it. It's coming.
Cool stuff.
So get ready, guys. If you haven't done the Crucible quest for the weeklies, that's one of them. I know that's a big one for a lot of my friends. Are like, I gotta go do this now. And some of the other main stuff. King's Fall hard mode was one. I don't know. Story missions.
Yeah, I was surprised
there's
we
a
didn't
bunch of
see
different stuff.
all the different challenge modes in there.
Yeah.
But so far it doesn't look like it.
Yeah. Some other great details from that interview, specifically related to the patrol zones. So they released some promotional pictures this week, and in those pictures you saw some zones in the Cosmodrome, specifically the Divide, and some other ones that were covered in snow, as well as the rear wall and the Divide being almost destroyed with a huge hole in it. So what they've clarified is that the original Cosmodrome patrol will remain as is, frozen in time. And then when you load up the Plaguelands, it will have portions of the Cosmodrome, but those areas will be changed. There will be, environment changes like snow, and the hole in the Cosmodrome wall and other things like that. So it'll actually be like two separate zones that you can pull up, but one of them has changes to the Cosmodrome, one of them doesn't. Just pretty cool.
Dude, I have to mention real quick, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a Reddit post, and I purposefully wrote the username, Helix3333. He had this long, just detailed analysis he had done on some of those images, and the picture of the servitor with what looks like planes wings, which I didn't even notice.
Oh, I did see this.
It's actually planes wings. Yeah. And then he took the Rise of Iron image and a current image that he took from the large colony ship out in the Cosmodrome, and he figured out and noticed between the two screenshots that the top sphere is missing, basically where you go for Cade's mission. Yeah. So, man, that was
they
such a cool
basically took
find.
one of the spheres from the colony ship and have turned it into an enormous servitor machine god.
The Siva. Yeah. So
Pretty
that
cool.
was such a cool post, man.
Yeah.
So cool.
So some other things they mentioned in this interview: there will be new cinematics. Wonderful news there.
They seem to really kind of push it, like they're definitely focusing on cinematics.
Yeah. There will not be any new factions. This one's for you, Jordan. And they didn't say we're going into the past, but they will be exploring the past of the Iron Lords.
Oh, exploring. Okay.
If you're catching up here, Them Tattoos is very adamant about the fact that we're going back in time.
It's gonna happen,
to
man.
see the Iron Lords,
which I was okay with.
I do not agree.
Was not one.
There's an Elder Scroll somewhere in Plaguelands. I'm telling you.
Whoa, whoa,
Oh, man.
I think you're getting your fiction mixed up here, man. All right. Also, they confirmed there will be some new characters in the social space, Fellwinter Peak, which seems pretty exciting. I'm interested what kind of characters we're going to see. I mean, they say characters, so we're not just talking about Lord Saladin. So I'm wondering if we're going to see, an Iron Cryptarch and...
Yeah, and they acted like Fellwinter Peak was the new social space, and then that room we keep seeing with all the statues of the Iron Lords, they seem to be kind of leading towards that being like an actual mission room or something.
Yeah.
I kind of thought maybe that would be the social space, but I don't think that's
it may
the
just
case.
be like a unique room in that space.
Maybe.
So my theory is that you know how in year one when you would find the dead ghosts for the Grimoire? I'm guessing that part of the story is finding the Iron Lord's dead ghosts. And then when you come back to that area with the fire pit in the center, your ghost will have some sort of projection for like a hologram projection for that particular Iron Lord based off of their ghost, and then that will be the new character, and that's how you can interact with the past characters without actually going to the past.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Kind of Star Wars-esque a little bit. Nice, man. Well, we'll see. If that was the case, that'd be pretty cool. They did focus on the fact, and they said this specifically, that they are balancing the size of this expansion between the House of Wolves and the Taken King. That is how they framed it. So, as we've related before, and obviously because of the price point, that's how we've kind of attributed what we expect the size of this expansion to be. But, Deej and Scott Taylor came out and said, look, this is pretty much what you should expect. Something between the size of these two expansions. So,
yeah, and I don't know if we said last week because I was still holding out, but they have Deej fully confirmed, and I'm sorry if I missed you saying this already, Cyborg, but there's no collector's edition.
Oh, no, I forgot to mention that in this.
Yeah, no collector's edition.
No collector's.
So start pre-ordering.
Yep.
Which kind of goes right along with what you just said. That's kind of showing that it's not really a full-blown Taken King kind of thing.
And I have to bring up, as an Xbox guy, and I haven't checked as of today, but previously you can't pre-order this in the Xbox store yet.
Oh, really?
I don't know if they've updated it, but when they announced it, you could not go and pre-order that through Xbox. And I need to go by like GameStop or something and see how they're handling the pre-order stuff, because for some pre-orders, if you go to GameStop and you're like, I want to pre-order Rise of Iron, basically all they do is give you a currency card for the amount of the expansion, and you have to go through the Microsoft store using that credit and purchase it still.
Yeah, see, that's what I was confused about. I actually did pre-order mine at GameStop this week when he said that, because I wanted the poster that you get.
Mm-hmm.
And the person there made it sound like they actually give you a code. But that's where I was confused. I've never pre-ordered a digital copy of something, because I'm probably going to just buy it off of PlayStation.
For
Store,
PlayStation, the way that their digital stuff works is different. When you go pre-order a digital copy of something through a retail store for PlayStation, they're actually giving you a unique key for that software.
Okay.
But Microsoft stuff, they don't do that because of the
wow.
I think I heard it was because of the way they changed their currency system, because they used to, unless they set up something specifically with the retailer to do that, but most of the time they don't. So I'm going to go find out. I'm actually going to try to go by there tomorrow and see what the deal is, because when I checked after they had done the announcement, you couldn't even do it yet on the Xbox store. So,
And
well, at least we can confirm you get a pretty cool poster with the classic Rise of Iron image we all know on one side, and then it's a massive Galahorn on the other side.
no doubt.
And there is no disc for this one, right? I don't know if they confirmed
Right.
it or not. It's just
It's
going
all
to be
Digital,
Yeah.
digital only.
I tell you what keeps me still excited, even though it's going to be between House of Wolves and Taken King size, is I'm sorry, and I do feel for you. I hope you guys can get a new console by then. But is the fact that it's just current gen really, is exciting to see what they can do with the spaces. I mean, when you watch that video and you see them climbing on that mountain, just walking up that mountain, and it does the pan like Lord of the Rings shot.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah, and another thing worth mentioning in that vein is Deej did mention that they are working on trying to do something for those who will need to upgrade systems for Destiny players specifically. I don't think they had anything to confirm yet. I wouldn't be surprised to see something with PlayStation. I would be surprised to see some kind of deal with Xbox.
Right.
But we'll see. Maybe it'll come up.
can't
So if I were you, even with, the discounts on Xboxes right now and everything else, I would wait until they have something substantial to say about upgrading before you buy a new system.
I gotta say, if I was on one of the last gen consoles, I would be feeling it too, man.
Yeah.
Because we log into Destiny at least every other day, right?
Yeah.
To think about not getting the next
Oh
expansion.
yeah, no doubt. But hey, I mean, you can get a standard Xbox console for $280 right now.
$280. Yeah,
That's a pretty good deal.
I paid $500 for mine, and
You can get a
and I have
refurb for $200.
I have a day one, basically written in on my controller.
Yeah, I do too. I paid a lot of money for mine.
Very nice. At least we have that controller on our shelf.
Yeah, no doubt.
I wanted to mention too. There was also an IGN video that was thrown up today, where they basically just show the same footage and screenshots that we've seen, but Christopher Barrett is on there, and it's just a full interview with him. And this is really nothing new, but Cyborg and I were talking about it before the show. He pretty much what we already know, but at least he says it. He says once Rise of Iron comes out, of course, he reiterates that they have the full live team still planning to dish out things like SRL and Crimson Days and stuff like that. So it was just kind of nice to hear him say we will be getting live team events. So
Yeah, hopefully we'll get what was the name of it? The Halloween event.
Oh, Festival of
Yeah,
Lost.
hopefully we'll get that again in October. That'd be nice. I mean, that's not too far. It's not too far away. It's like 4 months away. Be awesome.
It's just it's I obviously don't think we're going to get anything before Rise of Iron, but after Rise of Iron, that'll last a couple months probably. And it's just, it's like between that and Destiny 2, it's like what live events are we going to get between now and then?
Well, and IGN asked in their Fireteam chat, what's up with SRL, and they effectively dodged the question. So
Yep.
They didn't say anything substantial. But a couple more things before we wrap this up. We are not progressing level-wise. Level 40 will remain. And then another great note is they have heard the feedback from April update as far as progression and how people have reacted as far as the ability to progress to the in-game level and light levels from other activities. They've heard that, and that will continue. So no longer will the only way to hit max light be the raid. There will also be Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris to be able to progress.
Yeah, and that's huge, man, because that, even where we're at right now with the game, getting the April update, I mean, the game is still super rewarding, and it feels that way. So even in a drought, that can make it that much more fun to play,
Yeah. So, good news. They are not rolling back or making any material changes to the progression systems that they have delivered, which I think is a wonderful thing. And I'm really interested to see what the landscape looks like, with an actual full content release, where we have those methods to progress,
Definitely. Yep.
Well,
I agree, sir.
Ready to get into the main topic this week, guys?
The main topic.
So let's talk about Hunter Life post
Yes.
2.3.0.
We brought on
a hunter.
A hunter. Because as you all know, we cover the Warlock and the Titans enough.
We are so biased that one time we did an episode where we did Six's strategy and we didn't talk about hunters once.
Yep.
And we've got enough complaints. We're like, all right, guys, we need to round out the hunters a little bit. So here you go, guys. We brought a hunter on, a shifty hunter to talk about.
He has plenty to
what's
say
going
about
on.
this.
So Jordan, tell us a little bit about your I guess your take and your feelings on what Hunter Life is like now that there's been some changes.
Okay, so like the other classes in the game, they changed each of the subclasses in different ways. It made sense that they needed to look at each of them. I was kind of hoping that Gunslinger would get more of a buff than a nerf, because I feel like it was the weakest of the three subclasses as far as PvP goes. But overall, I think that all three classes were changed net positive, in my opinion. I think that there were definitely some things that they dialed back, but there were checks and balances for each of the changes. So I'm happy. I know that it's going to take a little while to adjust because I've been playing the slippery shade stepping Night Stalker for the last couple of months. And my habitual mashing of the circle button is going to have to be toned down a little bit with the most recent update. So real quick, I'm just going to try and fly through the changes, starting with Gunslinger. So they increased the arming radius of Swarm Grenade by 0.5 meters. Big deal. Swarm Grenade detonation damage increased by 7%. I haven't noticed much of a change. Trip Mine no longer attaches to targets, so no more unicorning. Arms on impact then bounces and attaches to terrain. So it acts...
How do you feel about that?
So this has caused some controversy or whatever, I guess, some discussion in the community that people didn't think it was a necessary change. I'm of the mind that I believe the reason they did this is because they want the Trip Mine to act more like a lightning grenade as far as its physics. So you can't, and I know they're very different grenades in the way that they detonate, but they look very similar, and the physics for them are very similar as far as the way you throw them, the way the trajectory goes, their sort of weight. And I think that they did this so that they could bring it more in line with lightning grenades, because lightning grenades don't stick. They never have. They bounce and, they'll land at your feet and then go off. So
yeah, I heard people in the community this week saying that who was complaining about Trip Mine sticking, and it's like, really, I guess not that many people until you got sticked and you were like, why does that grenade stick to you?
Right.
Like, I totally get that it should be more of a trap, it's not, but then they did have an argument that it doesn't have any like proximity to where it basically pulls into the character. So it was pretty hard to stick people, but still, it's more of a trap style grenade.
I think the point is the reason that it doesn't have any of that magnetism like a fusion grenade does is to show that that's not what it's meant for. Like it's not that type of grenade. So I think that they made that change so that it just makes more sense as far as how they want the grenade to be used. I don't really care necessarily, because even when I do play Gunslinger, that's not how I use Trip Mines, and that's not how most gunslingers use Trip Mines. So I don't think it's going to affect anything really overall. This next part will, though. Trip Mine damage reduced by 3%. They did this because they wanted to make it to where low armor guardians weren't getting one shot as consistently with Trip Mines. That makes sense to a certain point, but really the only builds that could even go low enough to get one shot by a Trip Mine were other hunters. So I think that it did really reduce the utility of it, because it's supposed to be a trap. It's supposed to zone off an area, and you basically want it to keep people, you want people to be able to see it and not shoot it down. So like you want to put it in those tricky spots where they can't quite see it enough to shoot it off. And they'll have to walk through it or let it time out. But with the damage reduction, it's more or less like a warning to you whenever you set it down now. Like when it goes off, it's almost like a sensor mine. Like you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, there's a person in this general area because I saw the damage numbers and I heard my Trip Mine go off. That makes sense to me as well, because there aren't a lot of grenades in this game that one-shot people. So, they sort of brought it in line with other things, like the, incendiaries or the fire bolts now, where that grenade alone shouldn't be enough to kill you. So I think
at this point it's pretty much just fusions, right?
Yeah, anything that sticks.
Stuck with a fusion.
And if you...
Or what else do you have? You've got magnet grenades and...
Yeah, any of the stickies will one-shot you, and then also the scatter grenades from the Voidwalker. You can get one shot from those. If they all land.
If they all land.
So other changes real quick. Gunslinger, base damage increased by 50% for Golden Gun. I think that's great. An additional 30% against AI combatants. A great change. It felt really weak in PvE. And sometimes even in PvP, you would have warlocks tanking golden guns if they were in Radiance and wearing RAM. That's not going to happen anymore. Deadeye now increases golden gun damage by an additional 30%, which lets you do fun things in PvE like two-shot Omnigul.
From what I understand with Deadeye now, you can kill a striker with Unstoppable.
Yes, that is correct. So in PvP, with the additional 50% and the bonus 30% from Deadeye, we can finally trade or kill strikers during their slam with Unstoppable. So
yeah,
that's pretty great.
Crazy. Yeah.
The Striker Titan super is infamous in the Crucible for being a panic super. So it's nice that you can try and shut them down now before they get to you.
Yeah.
Throwing knife changes, I disagree with most of these, but base damage reduced by 10%. Circle of Life, modified functionality, precision kills with throwing knife, reduce the cooldown of golden gun. I think that's a great change. Circle of Life was a useless perk before. No one's using their throwing knives when they're in golden gun. You know, you have 10 seconds or 15 seconds to be able to, use your actual super. You're not worried about getting throwing knife kills. So I like the change to Circle of Life. I don't think that the damage needed reduced. Again, this was another change for those low armor builds. People were getting one shot by the throwing knives with the incendiary burn perk if they had low enough armor. But it's the situational things like that on top of throwing knife already being a fairly difficult thing to use. I don't really see the necessity of that, but they chose to reduce that by 10%, so it's not one-shotting people. Passive Scavenger increases the amount of grenade melee energy awarded by 33%. This is actually a relevant perk now, especially in PvE, whenever you pick up those ammo bricks.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it really, really, especially if you're running challenge and something like Trickle is on, it's cool. I think that it's nice that they're bringing some more utility into these perks that people aren't really using, like Circle of Life and Scavenger.
Right.
Chain of Woe and Over the Horizon both got a +1 recovery added. That sounds like an afterthought to me. I don't really think that like they just sort of threw that in because they felt they needed to change something. Okay. Blade Dancer, Skip Grenade.
So what I've heard over the last week, man, before you get into Blade Dancers, is all of the Blade Dancers out there in the community, or at least several that I've heard this past week on podcasts and such, have said overall they like the changes. Like as a whole, even with all these changes listed, they like how the Blade Dancer has turned out. What do you think about that overall?
I would definitely agree. I played Blade Dancer in the one card that I got to fit in on Friday, and it felt better overall, honestly. I've been using Skip Grenades. I actually switched over to Flux Grenades just to try them out. I know that Skip Grenades did get a bit of a nerf. I don't think it was too severe, so they're probably still usable, but I hadn't used Flux Grenades much, so I just decided to switch over and give them a try. Flux Grenades are really fun. They act very similar to the other sticky grenades in the game, so you can use them really aggressively and offensively. So if you're running Blade Dancer and you were stuck on Skip Grenades, maybe try them out. They're kind of a good time. I haven't used Blink since summer of 2015. So
that's very specific.
Yeah, so the -1 recovery and the changes that they made to Blink really haven't affected me because I use better control. This strengthens the case against Blink for me, and I've heard the same thing from a lot of other people in the community. They're moving away from Blink. I think that
one thing I heard is that beyond this recovery penalty, across the board, there was a little bit of a adjustment with Blink as far as the cooldown, as well as the weapon ready time. And that seems like that was a change that was made.
Yeah. So the biggest change there was actually in relation to the super. So whenever people were talking about those other sort of ancillary changes, they were speaking as to whenever you blink up in your Blade Dance Super and you try and swipe, you'll actually blink up, and because of the delay that they added to your lunging when you're in the air, you'll start to fall from the blink before you get to swipe. So it just makes it like a very sluggish sort of movement, and you're definitely not as mobile in your super when you're using blink as your jump.
Nice.
So the major changes other than that to the super is they added a 20% cost to your super bar per swing, and then they decreased 20% the cost for a hit with your Blade Dance. I think that overall makes the super more powerful in the way that it's meant to be used. So what I mean is people before were popping this across the map, and they were using the mobility of the super to get to you faster than you could react, but they weren't necessarily getting a bunch of kills with the super, because by the time they got to you, they were almost out of their super anyways. They would get 1 or 2. This makes a lot more sense to me because it's a melee super. They want you to use it in close range. They want you to, get too far up, pop your super, and be very agile, but in a very CQC way. So, that movement up to the person, you're going to have to really time and plan out, because you're spending a significant amount more super getting to them than actually killing them. I think that's a really good change.
Which I think in turn makes running that super in that class a little more vulnerable, because even as a warlock, when I'm running Stormcaller and I want to get that landfall, I mean, a lot of the time I'm trying to plan out and I want to get in a specific position and I'm focused on, okay, I'm ready. I want to pop my super here, but I get gunned down. And if hunters have to make that strategic move as well, it's going to, make them work a little harder to pop their super when they want, as opposed to popping it in a safe place and then spamming, to get to where they want to be and basically being invincible because nobody can shoot the guy.
You're a complete new Blade Dancer like me, and it doesn't matter what changes have been made. You feel completely vulnerable and get shot in the face immediately.
Tattoos, do you think that because of this we may see more hunters running Hungering Blade?
Yeah, I think so. That was a pretty popular perk beforehand, but now I feel like with your mobility being ticked down a little bit, you're definitely going to want that health regen on the kill. And one of the best upshots to this is they actually increased the hit detection test range by 0.5 meter. So you don't have to be quite as close. And the thing that I noticed that this translated to in the Crucible in actual gameplay is people were getting away from me a lot less. A big issue that
Dang it.
So a big issue that I had with the super before is that say I'm chasing down Arrow in a sweat and he's on his Titan, and it's a fairly open map. It's something like Rusted Lands. I'm never going to catch him because Titan skating is so fast and so sustainable. I can swipe all day, but hunters, for whatever reason, are the slowest class in the game, even though their thing is agility. But with that extra little bit of hit detection range, I have a lot better chance of getting in close and people not being able to get away. For being in proximity to that super. So that's the biggest positive for me as far as the super goes with the balance, and that feels really good. It feels like it's in a good place now.
So before we move to Nightstalker, I also heard this week hunters talking about using Bones of AO since Blink is not very great anymore, like you mentioned, to basically use the versatility in a map. The verticality in a map and have that extra jump. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Another big fault of the Super pre 2.3 is you would see people doing the thing where they just go straight up in the air and hope that, you can't like jump high enough to swipe at them, because again, like hunters have a weak jump too compared to the other two classes. But with bones, you can get that extra height if they do try and, skate up really high and out of your range, or if they're floating really high, then you can use the third jump to reach them. You can also use the third jump with better control to have a lot of forward momentum. So if you're planning to make a push, you can get really far really fast and then pop your super, and you'll have that third jump while you're in Blade Dance. Cool. So that's definitely a good alternative to Blink if you were using Blink before.
Yeah, I was picking yours and Terry's brain this week about Blade Dancers because, of course, I'm still going to stay a Titan, but I think I might finally start dabbling with Blade Dancer a bit, just to goof around.
I think you'll really have fun with the quick draw, especially with NLB shotgun loadout. Quick draw is really fun for those types of really long range, really short range types of loadouts.
Very cool. You're gonna have to teach me the ways, sir.
One more quick thing before we move on to Night Stalker. They did fix Blink Strike. I mentioned this to a couple of people, and there's been a lot of questions about it in the community, why you're getting the backstab one shot from the front. So they reduced the backstab angle by 30 degrees, and they decreased the lunge distance for Blink Strike by 0.4 meters. So hopefully that will help calm some of the people that were getting upset by that, because I know it's really frustrating to get front stabbed. Have
you been able to test this at all?
Did, yeah. I tested it a little bit. I was playing some Control, I believe it was, and you still definitely can get a front stab. It's just that you have to be significantly higher in the air. So I found in year one there was a quest, they weren't quests back then, it was a bounty that you had to get kills from behind with like grenades, I think it was. And for some reason, the way that the game is coded, if you're in the air, it considers you behind the enemy that's closest to you, if that makes sense. So you could, in effect, cheese that bounty by just throwing a grenade at your feet in a big pile of thralls and then jumping straight up in the air. So it's something with, I guess, the math and the angles, something with your guardian being in the air relative to the other guardian. It considers you behind them and it activates that backstab perk. So that still does happen. There was a couple of times where I would rush somebody and, I would see that they had a shotgun, so I would jump as high as I could above them and then do a Blink Strike down like on the top of their head. And I got 2 or 3 one-shot kills when, I was still noticeably in front of them, even though I was kind of, higher up. But I think they just pushed that angle back a little bit, so you didn't, it's not just a bunny hop now to where you can just, single jump in their face and get the one shot. You have to really be pretty high up in the air.
Right.
So Night Stalker was the big ticket item for a lot of people because they felt like it's the strongest subclass in PvP for hunters, and I would definitely agree up until 2.3. They addressed the big thing was the Wombo combo, the Envenom Smoked, and either the Void Wall or the Vortex Grenade. So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention... So you can, because the jump suppression is removed, you can jump right out of this now. Yep. Which is great for me.
Yes, it is excellent.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's when I read that, I was just kind of like, well, I guess I'm not using Envenom Smoke anymore. Like, it just, I feel like although they definitely did need to do something about it. Like, it was too strong. It gives you a significant advantage in a neutral 1v1 where both guardians have their melee and grenade. You can win a lot of those engagements with your Wombo, or you could before. But the whole sort of premise of the Envenom Cloud is suppression. So removing that jump suppression, it just, I don't know, it sort of confused me. I felt like they were gonna just reduce the damage of it, or maybe reduce the time, which they actually increased the cloud duration for Envenomed. Kind of strange. So they increased the overall smoke by a second. Then they also increased the Envenom by another second. So it's 2 seconds longer than it used to be. The impact damage is increased by 34%. They say that these changes were to make them less frustrating in PvP and more effective in PvE. And that makes sense.
Which is always a tough balance.
Absolutely, yeah. And Bungie's taken on a pretty tall order to have a game where they want you to feel powerful in both PvE and PvP. It's very difficult because you want to feel, like a badass in the raid. You want to feel like a space cowboy when you're doing strikes, but that can't fly in PvP a lot of times because it's going to make everyone angry. So it's a tough balance. I really feel for them, and I don't know how they even got it balanced to this point. But so yeah, Wombo is definitely not as powerful now. I did test it a little bit over the weekend. If you can catch somebody in the right situation, then it's still very effective. But you have to be much more deliberate about it now. So getting the impact damage is huge. If you can manage to get the impact damage, then that's going to help you tremendously with your 1v1s. One of the best ways to use this now is against someone who's aggressively rushing you with a shotgun. If you can stick the melee to them and get that 34%, that 34% buff for the impact damage and the smoke, not only is that going to do a significant amount of damage, so you can, more easily have your 1v1 gunfight, it also will keep them, it will stop their sprint, basically. So although it didn't suppress the double jump, it does still suppress the person's sprint. So if they're, a Titan getting ready to shoulder charge you, you can hit them with the smoke and they won't be able to shoulder charge at that point. So it is still effective in some ways. You just have to be a little bit more deliberate and a little bit more tactical with how you use it.
Do you think that with the impact damage, as opposed to leading with this, which is what a lot of people would do, do you think that getting a couple body shots in with a pulse and then finishing them off with this might be a more effective way to handle an engagement as opposed to just leading out with it?
Yeah, I would say so. You definitely still want to lead with the cloud and then the grenade, but it might end up being better for you to finish the fight off. A lot of times I'll use
say if you run out of ammo.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that sort of spotlighted Night Stalkers early on was Ramblin' and a couple other of the big PvP guys. They were using this subclass to do 1v3s and 2v3s in trials because of its survivability and the suppression effects. So one of the ways that they used Wombo, which I think will be more prevalent now, is to get away from an engagement that you're losing. So
escape.
So they would be in a gunfight and they might see another person come in and then it becomes a 2v1 instead of a 1v1, and basically they're throwing their smoke behind them knowing that they're going to be pursued and catching the person in that way rather than being aggressive with it. So,
especially if you lose your sprint.
It just,
and you're trying to run and finish a guy off and they can throw down the smoke, turn the corner and make it out of there.
Absolutely.
Which is very Hunter-esque, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the assassin throwing down the cloud of smoke and then disappearing.
Yep.
Definitely.
Very, very cool. It's going to be nice to see the changes to the subclass and how it's played in the next couple of months. The last thing for the Night Stalker, of course, they had to give it some positives with the negatives. The super now works the way that it's supposed to work. So the change they made to Shadow Shot is that it applies the suppression effect on impact of the anchor.
Yeah,
so there's
huge.
no, there's no half-second delay where that hammer comes flying into your face and kills you, and then they get suppressed. And they're just...
It never really made any sense, did it?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just...
It's almost just like an oversight.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it was just a matter of a couple of frames, but in game those frames meant the world, because you're using that super in very high risk situations with trying to shut down other supers. So that suppression effect on impact is definitely amazing.
Yeah, and I want to point out, because I've seen some tweets and some posts, some complaints so far. So keep in mind, you're still shooting your tether. And if somebody has their super active while you're firing this, it doesn't mean that a hammer or a Nova Bomb or something can't cross streams with your tether as it flies through the air. So it's not like it's instantaneous from the moment that you release the bow shot. It still has to travel to the point that you're putting the tether and then shoot out the whatever you want to call them, tendrils from that focus point.
So the key word there is apply suppression effect on impact. So it
Correct.
only happens when that initial anchor makes impact with something, terrain or the Guardian. So you still have, that like 4 or 5 frames.
The cast animation and it's like any cast super, just like Nova Bomb or what's a good example here? I'm trying to think of, there's others, but there's frames of vulnerability. That's the trade-off.
Yep. One last thing before I turn it over to you guys for the Warlock and the Titan changes. The Night Stalker also had a nerf in the Shade Step department, and this is probably the most detrimental nerf to the subclass, even more so than the Wombo nerf. Single dodge on a 3-second cooldown, which I again understand and accept with a sad heart, because shade stepping is so much fun, and being able to do it once is not as much fun, but it's still very utilitarian. I think even more so than just the utility that Shade Step had and the slipperiness of it, they really wanted to make a change to Shade Step that was going to be significant enough for players to consider the other 2 perks in that tree. And I think that they accomplished
What are the other 2 perks in that
it
tree?
is Keen Scout and something else that I don't know and probably haven't ever used.
Gotcha.
Like a lot of Night Stalkers out there, probably.
I wonder if, Graviton Forfeit is, while not a lot of people run it as it is not going to be that desirable to run now, huh?
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to get Keen Scout when Shade Step is on a, pretty big cooldown.
It seems like it's, obviously a major adjustment for all you Night Stalkers out there, but it's definitely turned into more of a strategic dodge, like many of the other changes.
And I don't think it's going to be a huge deal in the end, because that initial Shade Step does still do silly things like turn off tracking on grenades, and
it's just going to be that initial, it's playing with your mind, because like you said, you're spamming O, and now you do not want to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a big adjustment for people.
Well, and what better segue transition into Titans is I jumped on my Garrison tonight just to try it out and try the Sunbreaker out, and I gotta say, man, like, it feels right. Like, I was really worried about Garrison, but it's the same exact thing. It feels, to me, I don't know about Night Stalkers, but to me it felt okay to me. You can't obviously do the double dodge, but it's a timing thing. It's a cool maneuver as a Titan to be able to have.
Yeah.
And you just have to time it well. You don't want to waste it. So I don't know. I think I'm completely fine with the garrison change, but that's coming from a Titan who can't have that ability anyways. A Night Stalker, is the whole reason is to have that neat little dodge. So
I feel for you guys, because I honestly think that the garrison got nerfed because of Shade Step.
Just because of it?
Yeah.
Well, it really did, and plus the fact that there's no agility mechanic like that is comparable for Warlock.
Right.
So in that particular aspect, they were completely outclassed with no option to resemble or counter those moves.
If you think about it, though, the double dodge garrison, if played well, is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy. So I mean, I could see it. I think you're right. It's probably like, okay, we did Shade Step, we better do the garrison. But I mean, like I said, I was worried using it because we use garrison a lot, the Pepto-Bismol garrison Titans.
Yeah,
but it actually didn't feel too bad. It didn't feel too bad at all.
That's good.
So Sunbreaker, real quick, guys. I didn't play a lot of PvP this week because Trials got disabled, and I was out of town. But I hopped in a game just to try the Sunbreaker, and very quickly I can tell you that it feels pretty nice. That little extra range of detonation, I could tell. Let's just say that I popped my super 3 times in one game, and it's always been a fun subclass, but it may just be enough for me to jump back over to Sunbreaker a little bit and have some fun. I know a lot of guys who play 6s say it's it was still viable anyways, but Jordan, you dabble in
even better.
Yeah. You dabble with your Titan, obviously. I mean, you haven't had an opportunity to jump on your Titan at all?
I did play a little bit on my Titan. I had a couple of bounties and quests and stuff to finish up, so I played a game or two on it. I did try out the hammers a little bit, and they feel more reliable now. I think the place that they put them in is a nice happy medium between original Taken King, where they were like ungodly, just press R2 and then win. Right. And now it's, they're good. I don't feel like I'm throwing pool noodles at people. In, the fix for the blast radius, I'm not doing 2 damage whenever it's landing right next to the person. So I think that's a good change.
It feels like more of a 6's subclass, but if it didn't have Suncharge kind of makes it somewhat viable in a 3's type game mode, but it always seems like we're leaning towards strikers when it comes to those game modes. Of course, there's always the Fun Police Defender, but anyways, that's all I have on Titans. I'm going to definitely play some more Sunbreaker this week, but what about some Warlocks, dude?
Yeah. Well, I haven't gotten enough time to really give a fair report on the Sunsinger changes. From what other people have related, the Firebolt arming time is not extremely perceptible as far as that change. But I want to play it myself and see how they act. Truthfully, I was playing around with my Voidwalker mostly in PvP this week, going back to my old builds and seeing how those were playing. And but I have to bring up, because even one of our listeners tweeted the change to Sunsinger and how it affects PvE. There's a pretty cool mechanic that you can take advantage of with the change to Viking Funeral. That causes enemies to take more damage, that you can actually stack up to 3 times, which is great for encounters like Golgoroth, where you can actually be a little bit more useful to add a burn. And it was confirmed on Twitter that this Viking Funeral perk can stack without canceling out with either the Titan DOT effect or the I think the Night Stalker one as well. So some of those cancel each other out, but this one in particular does work in tandem with those, which are going to be pretty cool for some of those encounters. So it does add some strength to the Warlock skill set.
Yeah, those perks that have that MMO feel to them, and for the PvE side, where they increase the damage across your entire fire team, I love that.
The only problem I have with it is that it only lasts 3 seconds.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that makes a ton of sense for PvP, where, 3 seconds can be a long time if you're in a 1v1. But for PvE, where this is going to be useful, 3 seconds isn't very long for DPS. The bonus, however, for this is that it will stack. So say, for instance, you're, in Radiance and you're getting your melee refreshed fairly quickly. You can say, melee Golgoroth real quick, within a couple seconds, have it again, hit them again, and it will stack up to 3 times. So I think that's how they're envisioning it to work. Whereas you're going to get the most benefit out of it when you're in Radiance and you can stack that effect.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play some more and bring out Sunsinger this week into the Crucible and play with those Firebolts and especially Flame Shield and see how I feel about the minute changes they've made.
Maybe we can touch base on the Sunbreaker and Sunsinger and the reset next week.
I did want to bring up one thing I forgot about the patch notes that were in here, which is really cool. There's 3 particular missions that were related to exotics that you can just now access straight from the director. So you have the Paradox, and that was just, these are all related to exotic weapons that had to come up on specific days or come up when a certain mission was the daily heroic. So the alternate ending to Paradox, where you can go get all the ghosts and give them to Lakshmi. The alternate ending to Lost to Light, where you could get the Black Spindle. And then the Firewall mission, which allows you to get Sleeper Simulant. You can all just get those straight from the director. So there's no more worrying about the timing and stuff. You can go farm if you want to get that cool ship, which is something I'm going to do this week.
Yeah. I actually got the Space Age Mariner finally from the Sterling Treasure this week. Man.
Is that the Taken one?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not the Taken one. It's the white one. With,
right. Yeah.
I don't have either of those
yet.
Both
on PlayStation. So
I'm jealous.
I might have to go farm that Black Spindle ship now.
Definitely.
I always like that one.
Yeah.
One quick thing that I actually wanted to add on to the Warlock balance changes with the Voidwalker. Something that I noticed in playing against another Voidwalker and hearing in the community some speculation on it, people seem to think that the base damage increase of 50% has actually made the effective range of Nova Bomb more. So more or less what's happening is the damage from Nova Bomb sort of dissipated the further away you got from it. So it was possible and still is theoretically possible to get hurt by a Nova Bomb but not killed by it if you're far enough away. Since that damage buff, it's harder to be in that range where it's not going to kill you. So the kill radius of the Nova Bomb itself, since it overall does more damage, is bigger. So that's a little bit more effective now in PvP.
I would expect that's related to because if you are close to the explosion, there's the splash damage, right? And you could catch some splash damage but not die. But because the damage is greater, that splash damage has a greater opportunity to kill you. Would that be accurate, do you think?
And even more so if you're using the Lance perk, because they buffed that by an additional 25%. So if you're testing Nova Bomb at any point this week in 6s or 3s, try out Lance. See if you feel like you're getting some kills that are maybe a little bit more of a wide radius than you were before. And also, thank God Firebolts are gone. This is how
they're not gone.
They're so gone. Have you been hit by a firebolt? It does nothing now. It does like 110. It's so amazing.
They couldn't do
the base
anything,
damage is still the same. It's the DOT
but
over
the DOT
time.
doesn't burn for like 60 anymore. It's so good.
Yeah, no.
So good.
I'm sure you're happy. That's okay. They had their day in the sun. You know,
Oh, I get it.
the time is over.
Well, guys, how about some Dirt Fan Feels?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, we got a speak pipe to lead us off here, Cyborg.
Yeah, and Them's Tattoos called our friend out here last
How
week.
appropriate.
Didn't he?
Yes, sir. The first one is going to be coming in from my buddy Cam in Australia. He called in as a response to my smooch pipe from last week.
Let's see what he has to say.
Smooches.
What's up, guys? Cam Pikemere here, accepting the Speak Pipe Challenge. Thanks for the call-out, Tats, and the kind words. You've become a great friend, man, and a big part of what makes this community so great. Again, thanks, mate. You're a true legend. I'll never forget the response to my first post on Discord. You guys were so welcoming, especially of note, the first response from our man Holden Court. I swear, within 30 seconds that bloke had welcomed me. I couldn't believe it. The welcomes came in thick and fast, and I felt immediately at home. I tried to make a list of all the awesome Guardians to shout out, but it was way too long. So I'll just have to say a massive thanks to everyone. You're a big pack of legends. But I do have to mention a few. Aero, Cyborg, thanks for all your hard work. It means so much to all of us. J247 and Saved Guy. We'll make that lighthouse, boys. Tats and Palix, you guys are awesome. Keep being the champs you are. To everyone who lets me troll their stream, sorry Davis, Unique, lol, thanks for the good times. So finally, on to my challenge. This guy helped me through my first raid, jumped straight in to help me get my spindle, and is just an all-round awesome guy. Burning Wing, our favourite scummy warlock, you've been called out. Smooches from Cam, Soph and Willow. See you in the game, guys.
All right. Well, it's always cool to hear an exotic accent because ours are just boring. But Burning Wing, you've been called out, and I have to say, when did it become a thing that everybody calls us scummy? Why are warlocks scummy now? I'm not a scumbag, am I?
No.
Maybe.
You're just sassy.
Yeah, I can live with
Sassy,
that.
sassy Squatch.
Yeah, hopefully old Cam doesn't take my spot on the trials team. You guys are getting so chum tattoo.
Watch out.
I don't know if he PvPs much.
Unfortunately, him being in a different time zone makes it really rough to play.
Imagine, yeah.
So because he plays at really weird times, similar to our buddy Holden. But
Yes, Holden.
From the down
Yeah.
It works out well when Holden tweets us the reset info, though, because it's when we're all waking up.
Yeah.
It seems like it
Yeah.
anyways. So
Oh man. So we got another speak pipe, from our buddy pal TX Andy Man. He got caught out last week. Let's take a listen.
What's up, everybody? Andy Man here, answering the call. Freezer, thanks for the shout out. Hope all is well with the family. I also want to give a quick shout out to our fearless leaders, Aero and Cyborg, the admin team for all the hard work they do. The book club, what's up to all my buddies, especially Archimedes, who I forgot to mention on my last speak pipe. I'd also like to welcome all the new members. So glad to see that our family's getting so big, and it's a very exciting time for us. So I just encourage everybody to just keep the good vibes going. Be helpful, help each other out, and just let's get those fire teams ready for that next expansion. Speaking of good vibes, I do want to tag the next Guardian up on the smooch pipe, R.H. Lurson. You've been around for a long time. You're definitely one of the old guard. Your involvement with the community is second to none, man. You're one of the best that we have, man. Helping out with Lost Light missions, raids, grass farming before that was a thing. So you're up, buddy.
All right, R.H. Lurson, you are called out for the smooch pipe for next week. Andy, thanks for sending that in to us, and thanks for being an awesome dude. Andy actually is my referrer friend for Xbox. So
Nice.
we tagged up.
Awesome.
I got that Xbox and hopped on, and Andy's just a super sweet, friendly dude, and we got that duo dance going.
I was gonna say, all this mention to refer a friend. We need some gifs, some short vids of the little duo dance from some Derp fam.
Yeah.
Surely somebody's got it at this point.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think
have
it was Cyborg and I the other day that spent like 15 minutes in the tower lining up a high five.
Trying to sync it up.
Finally got it. It's amazing.
Very nice.
Yep. Well, we got an email.
I'll take the first one if you guys don't mind.
Do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
So this one is from Michael Moore 198, and it's titled Derp Fam Finest. Hey guys, I would love for you guys to give a shout out to Roving Warbeast and Paulito Evans. These guys took me through my first raid and created an experience I really appreciated. They were so patient and great coaches, and they were able to tell me exactly how to jump for the puzzles and explain the mechanics in a way that I could easily understand. Even though I am sure I never felt like I was slowing anyone down. They were always so positive, even when we wiped. They would just reiterate that it's okay, and we would get it next time. I would also like to thank the other guys on the fire team, since they also contributed to this epic experience. Dominoes, Typical Jerd, and J. Francie Skates. These guys are the epitome of what the Derp fam represents, and should make the founder be proud to carry their banner. Thanks so much to you guys for creating a community of good feels. Thanks, Michael Moore.
Love those emails.
All right, man. Yeah, I gotta give props to Roving Warbeast. He's listened for a while, and I first ran across him in the Crucible with you, Thems. You remember when it was Asylum, and we ran across those 3 Bubble Titans?
Yeah.
That shut us down?
Yeah. That was Roving.
That was Roving Warbeast.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then me and Aaron and I have played with him, but so he's listened for a while, but he just joined the Derp fam like a week or 2 ago, and I just think it's awesome that he's already bringing people through raids,
yeah,
showing up all over the place,
just doing what people do in the Derp fam. Man,
I actually got to sweat with him on Xbox last weekend, and Larson and a couple other guys. Yeah. He's a great dude.
Yeah. So and also shout out to all the other guys that were there too, but I just think it's so great to see people, just join the fam, and then they're already jumping in and, serving other Guardians by helping them get through these activities. It's really cool.
Well, how often do we
cool.
we get emails of people that listen to the Derp fam feels, and they finally take that little extra step and join up, and then Roving Warbeast, like you said, is a great example. It just fits right in and starts doing the Derp fam thing. Yep.
No doubt.
Good stuff.
We've got another email from the co-founder, titled Derp Fam Feels, and he writes, "Hey, Cyborg and Arrow, thanks for fostering this great group. Tonight, after it was announced that we got to silence her screams for the Nightfall, I was super pumped to farm for some grasps. After dealing with connection errors, I jumped into the Nightfall with J. Howard 414 and Nymph 85. Once we figured out our strat, we farmed Omnigul for around an hour and got 7 grasps to drop between us. Sorry, Howard, for injury getting 1. Great night from Derp, and now Nymph 85 and myself have our pick of multiple grasps to figure out this new meta. Thanks again, and keep up the great work. Hashtag DerpFam. Hashtag flawless giblets.
I have no idea, but we just said that for
but
some reason.
We did it for you. We said it. The co-founder. So
great.
Well, thanks, man. Glad y'all had a good time. I don't know what that hashtag means.
I think I might actually know what that inside joke is. I believe in the moments of triumph, Got Turkey posted her first flawless, and I'm assuming that the co-founder decided to coin the hashtag flawless giblets for Got Turkey.
Very nice.
Nice.
I think I do remember that now. I do remember seeing that.
Totally meta, bro.
So meta.
I gotta give a shout out to Jay Howard too. He's been pretty darn active in the Derp fam and working on his Crucible game, and I believe just recently he started to overall hit over a 1.0 KD he sent me. So
that's awesome.
Keeping up the work in the Crucible. Awesome.
Keep it up, baby. You can do it. Well, fun show this week, guys.
So much information.
Yeah.
So glad.
Tattoos,
so glad.
Thanks for coming on.
We had Tattoo on to break down the hunters for us.
Thanks for having me, man.
I told Aaron and I, we got to get a hunter this week, man. There's too much to talk about. We got to get somebody. Let's get them tattoos on here.
I feel like I'm pretty lucky to have even gotten to play trials this weekend, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
You must
No
have
doubt.
started that card right after we were done farming, man, because it was disabled later that night. Yep.
Yep. Hey, and by the way, to our listeners, Tattoos Tickets is returning very, very soon.
That's right.
We've got some fresh Tattoos tickets on the way to you
Got
guys.
some stuff coming your way.
You've
I
asked
talked
for
to a
it.
couple of the people on the Discord just to get ideas of what the community wants to hear and what they're looking for. So I think in the near future, we're going to be starting a sort of 101 back to the basics for trials. That was the general consensus, that they wanted more sweeping overall tips for running a trials card.
Strategy.
So that's what we're going for.
Cool, man.
Sounds awesome to me, man.
Yeah.
Well, where can they find you, them's tattoos?
You can find me on Discord. I'm hanging out most mornings at work, not doing work. It's Them's Tattoos on Discord, Them's Tattoos on Twitter. It is Them's Tattoos on Xbox. And then just started Them's Tattoos on PlayStation as an alt account. So hopefully I'll have that up and running and be able to play with you guys. Until then,
Nice.
my original account on PlayStation is still ITA2U_24.
That one hurts.
One day those PlayStation guys will let you change your names.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever gonna happen,
Nope.
dude. We've been waiting so
It'll happen
long.
one
I
day.
hope it does. But
Well, as always, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter. Drop us a follow. You can also find us on the World Wide Web at DestinyResetPodcast.com, where you can find links to all things Destiny Reset, including our YouTube, our Bungie.net group. If you would like to join the Derp Fam, that's where you start. Go to our website, click the Bungie icon, and it will take you straight to our group where you can join and also jump in with our Discord and all the other fun things that come with being a part of the Derp Fam.
definitely, yeah, we get a lot of messages of people looking for the group and the Discord, and that's where you go. Of course,
That's where you
can
start.
always message us, but just like Cyborg said, it's all there, right there for you. I even am trying to get myself to use it as kind of a hub just to get me to all the Derp Fam stuff.
No
It
doubt.
works.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Aaron?
You can find me on Twitter at The Arrow Knight and YouTube and Twitch, just Arrow Knight. What about you, man?
Awesome. You can find me at Cyborg Sasquatch on Twitter and on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Cyborg Sasquatch.
So glad you finally are saying that. Got the old Twitch going.
I know. Well, it's funny. I've been saying it, but I haven't streamed for 2 weeks, so I need to get my act together.
This coming weekend.
I'll
Make it
be
happen.
on plenty this week.
Let's hope we get
I'll be
trials
on plenty
back.
this week.
Here's
Yeah,
hoping.
Yeah.
Need it.
Wanted to give a shout out, of course. We wanted to give a shout out for a new iTunes review, just a quick one. Cuckoo Machu. Thank you.
Nice.
Appreciate it. We've definitely
Thanks, man. That's a cool name.
chatted with you before, so thank you so much.
Mhm.
All right, guys.
All right.
Maybe we can fit in some Destiny before we crash tonight. Possibly.
Let's do it.
We'll try.
All right. Until next week, have fun playing Destiny and take care, Guardians.
Them's tattoos. Come back before I get bored.
They're just for you, man.
Just for you, baby.